Hi everybody, it's Allison here. I am sewing in my trifocals once again, and it just so happens that my cutting table here is right by my little altar with all my icons. And this lady here, Blessed Mother Olga of Alaska, was a priest's wife who sewed and knitted many things for her fellow villagers in her small village in Alaska. So I feel a special affinity for her because I love to sew and knit things, and I especially love to do them for charity or for my church or for people that I care about. So I like to have her watching over my little sewing projects, even when it happens to be an undergarment. And today what I'm going to do is make a tummy control panel for my undergarment, and this panel is probably what made that one undergarment, one pair of underwear, worth $9 on Amazon. Well, I decided that I would do this on my undergarment too. So I have here, this is Power Net, which belly dancers use in their costuming quite a bit. It's stretches both ways. And I'm going to cut two pieces and sew them together, and then I am going to stitch them to the front of my undies before I continue the construction, because I'm the mother of two boys, and they were very big babies. I am told I need to stop blaming it on them because one child turned 26 today, the other one is 30, so I am doing sit-ups and things, but you know, you reach a certain age and you need a tummy control panel. So I'm going to try this for the very first time. I've not worked with Power Net before. I've never made underwear before either, or a bathing suit or anything like that. So this should be kind of a kick, and hopefully it'll make me look a little more svelte or slim when I finally finish this garment. So here I am pinning. This fabric is a bit slippery and curls and everything else, but I have pinned it close to the selvage, which is that interesting edge that's on every fabric that's usually pretty sturdy, coming out of the knitting or weaving machine at the fabric plant. And to make a straight cut, like this one here, we just take our little ruler, and this time I'm going to be very careful with this, because I just healed from slicing my finger the last time I used it. So this is what I do. I do not cut very well with scissors, and when somebody introduced me to the idea of a rotary cutter, in fact it was my friend Denise's mom who told me about them, I didn't know they existed, and I sure do cut a lot better with this, and it's a lot faster than scissors. But as I mentioned in another video, well, you really have to pay attention to what you're doing, and please be sure to retract the blade into the little safety holder that's on each and every rotary cutter, at least in every rotary cutter that's like this one here, that has a little button that makes it retract really quickly. And that way you cannot actually pick it up by the blade. I'm not doing a very good job tonight of cutting, I might add. It's been a long week. That's my excuse, my story, and I'm sticking to it. Sometimes it doesn't cut all the way through. This is a pretty new blade, but I'm a pretty old lady, so anyway, you get the idea, and I'll show you how I'll sew it onto the garment in just a bit. Just to show you, here is the Fisker's rotary cutter, and here is that safety button, and always do that. Now see, you cannot, or at least you'd have to really try hard to cut yourself. Never say never. If anybody can do it, I can. And then this is my little tiny rotary cutter. It simply comes with a very thick, sturdy little protective cover to prevent people like me from cutting their fingers. So I placed my tummy panels that I put together, and I just wanted to show you when, like this type of knit fabric is really hard to write on with tailor's chalk, so you notice this is the wrong side. I just took a safety pin and a little piece of paper so I could remember which side was the wrong side and which piece this is. And I wouldn't recommend doing that with really delicate fabric, but this is interlock, so it's a pretty sturdy cotton knit. Okay, so we're all pinned now, and you can see it a little bit better. You can see I more or less lined up the pointy part of the tummy panel with this little notch down here, and the top is pretty near the waistband, or the future waistband, and so it'll be more or less like that $9 underwear. So here I am at my trusty Singer that my mom hates, but I don't hate it. And I'm going to change out the foot to a, this is called an open toe foot, so that we can kind of see. There you go, you have to, this one you have to screw on. Kind of see the stitching. I'm also going to change out that size 12 needle because this fabric is pretty thick, and I did have trouble. I'll show you. I had trouble getting the needle to go all the way in the fabric when I was sewing that very first seam on the back of the pair of underpants. So maybe you can see here it skipped some stitches in the middle, and I had to do it over a couple of times and kind of coax the needle, but you know, you live and you learn. So I'm going to put in a size 14 needle, which I usually use with interlock. So here's that nifty little gadget. I think it cost me about $3 or $4. And put the round part of the hole to the front and then the other part to the back, and you can hold on your needle and you can take it out without dropping it somewhere, which was my usual way of doing things because, you know, kind of clumsy sometimes. And here we're just going to get it unscrewed. Okay. So now we're going to put, here's our size 14 needle. You get the flat part towards the front of the little holder like that. You can see it snugs down in there pretty well. You still have to kind of hunker down, you know, and try and find where you put this in. It feels like I might actually have it. There we go. And then you just tighten it back up. Seems silly, but I was always dropping needles down into the works of the machine. So this is a pretty good thing for me. So here's what the open toe foot did. So I guess I'll be switching back to the regular zigzag foot. Oops. First time I tried it. No directions came with it either. Okay, so this is working better. We're going to test out our triple 3-step zigzag stitch. Okay, this looks like there's something wrong with my sewing machine timing. Isn't that interesting? I've been having the worst luck. Maybe if I tighten the tension a little bit, we'll see what happens. And I threaded it, and it seems to be fine now. Isn't that interesting? I seem to be having an issue with, maybe I threaded it wrong. So, whoops. Anyway, I'll show you. It's stitching just fine. Now you can see the stitch. So I'm going to test it out a little bit with the triple zigzag. And we'll go from there. Well, on this little $100 machine, the triple zigzag just isn't working. It's making some long skip stitches, but the regular zigzag is working. So I will do that and get back to you on the next video to show you how I do.